Okay, Senator, I want to switch gears right now and look ahead to what has been called the Safe and Supportive Schools Act. You sit on the Senate Education Finance Committee.
Yeah.
You oppose this measure. Why?
Well, I think, first of all, let me just say everybody opposes bullying. And I believe, having served on both the Policy and the Finance Committee, that there is strong support for enhancing the state statute around bullying, both with Republicans and Democrats. I think the issue here is, as has been pointed out by the School Boards Association and others, is number one, it's a significant and costly mandate. Number two, it goes about a lengthy list of requirements, including volunteer training, language like real and perceived imbalances of power, and that has to be judged by administrators in schools. And so I think there's a lot of concern around exactly how that will be enforced and whether that will become sort of an arbitrary standard from district to district because of sort of the burden of all of those requirements around bullying. But everybody is opposed to bullying. It's just a matter of whether we can come to an agreement. And like I said, I'm confident that the Republican caucuses would support a bullying bill that would enhance the state language, but to this point we haven't been able to get there.
So what would you like to see in a piece of legislation that you could support?
Well, I think right now the state statute is primarily just a directive to districts that says you need to have a policy about bullying. I think that we could update the statute as it relates to cyberbullying, for example. A lot of those issues were not contemplated when that original language was put into statute, and the idea now that some kids are tormented 24 hours a day using their mobile devices, I think is abhorrent and should be dealt with. And so I think that's one issue. I think that we can, rather than saying specifically, or not specifically that you need to have a set of policies, that we can enumerate some maybe harsher penalties for students at the district level. So I think there are, like I said, there is an appetite to do something around this issue, not only to bring the statute up to sort of where technology is today with cyberbullying, but also making sure that every district has sort of a minimum threshold of accountability for students and teachers.
If it's found that there is indeed a price tag for schools to try to implement this policy, a policy change, if there is one passed by the legislature, would you support increasing funding to help pay for that?
Well, I think it's important to point out that in the last biennium there was an incremental $500 million dedicated to public education. So I would consider a safe environment a sort of core function of school districts, and so that should be part of what they're doing every day. So part of that $500 million should be going to that anyways. I'm sure that everybody agrees that making sure that kids aren't harassed and that they're not being picked on and that they're safe is a core function, and that it shouldn't necessarily be its own dedicated funding stream for that issue. And we do, as you probably know, already have what's called the Safe Schools Levy in each district that allows districts to raise revenue just for that sort of issue.